Now is the time. It's our time.
IndependenceLive.net. Don't hate the media. Become the media. IndependenceLive.net have done thousands of live streams since 2013, documenting a peaceful civic movement for Scottish independence. And now, IndieLive.radio, a new voice for a new Scotland since 2019. You can join our grassroots teams, follow us on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, and check out our websites for contact details.
Now is the time. It's our time.
IndependenceLive.net. Don't hate the media. Become the media. IndependenceLive.net have done thousands of live streams since 2013, documenting a peaceful civic movement for Scottish independence. And now, IndieLive.radio, a new voice for a new Scotland since 2019. You can join our grassroots teams, follow us on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, and check out our websites for contact details.
Now is the time, it's our time.
IndependenceLive.net. Don't hate the media, become the media. IndependenceLive.net have done thousands of live streams since 2013, documenting a peaceful civic movement for Scottish independence. And now, IndieLive.radio, a new voice for a new Scotland since 2019. You can join our grassroots teams, follow us on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, and check out our websites for contact details.
Now is the time, it's our time.
independencelive.net. Don't hate the media, become the media.
Done a load of work around tax on the way. But the second theme was the Green New Deal, and I began to work with environmentalist Colin Hines in 2003, and we wrote our first report together with the New Economics Foundation in that year on how to use bonds to fund local investment in green infrastructure. Nobody at the time thought such a thing. It was completely mad. It was off the scale of comprehension for most people who actually looked at the thing that we wrote. But by 2007, a bunch of us, there were 8 in the Green New Deal group, and there still are supposedly 8, although it's a bit fluid. I think there are really more than 8 now, in the group. Sat down and talked about the fact that we were quite sure that there were a number of things happening. One was, there was going to be another financial crisis. Very clearly, something was going horribly wrong in the markets. Well, it wasn't too difficult to work out. I've been heavily involved in reporting the Northern Rock collapse in 2007. By heavily involved, Robert Peston actually got it all over the television, some might remember, and I actually got the Shadow Bank, which was called Northern Rock. And most of the assets were in the Shadow Bank, and I had worked out that actually the real problem in the bank was not the bank, but the Shadow Bank. And that gave rise to all sorts of questions in Parliament, which I'd inspired. And then others like Anne Pettifor, who's another member of the group who worked on debt before, and said, look, we've got a debt crisis coming. And Jeremy Leggett, who's a specialist in oil and renewable energy, said, look, we have an oil crisis coming. And then a couple of others who were heavily involved in Friends of the Earth, some directors, Tony Juniper and Charles Secret, were saying that we have an agricultural and food crisis coming. And we brought all this together with some of the other members, Larry Elliott, who's the economic centre for The Guardian, and said, we are facing the most potential mighty meltdown. And we need an alternative plan. And we published this in July 2008, and of course Lehman fell over in September 2008, so we had the great advantage of saying, tell me so, we told you you were going to have a crisis, and we were right. And we said, before the crisis happened, we said, we need a plan to get out of the crisis, because we are going to have the most almighty mess. And of course, the term Green New Deal is picked up straight from the 1930s New Deal by Roosevelt in the States as the way of bringing the States out of deep recession. It is an obvious mimic of that. The policies are not a mimic, and there were some things about Roosevelt which are deeply unattractive as a person and in terms of policies, but the idea was the economic recovery by basically putting people back to work in a socially useful way to create public projects which were of worth for the benefit of society at large, to create something which was going to be of lasting value. I'd never put it like that before. I'm quite pleased with that sentence. I hope that's been recorded. I want to use that one again. That was the aim that we had. And we talked about Green New Deal. Now, we had a certain advantage that a particular guy picked this idea up at the time. So, in fact, in some ways, we had a remarkably short time scale of getting publicity, because that guy was called Barack Obama. And if you're going to get somebody on your back in October 2008, he was the right guy to pick up your words, and of course he was about to be the President of the States. And he did actually use the phrase Green New Deal, nicked from us, there's no other obvious source of it, and talked about literally what we were talking about. And of course by then we were in a crisis. And for the following 18 months or so, we did actually have a brief period in sight. We didn't realise how big the crisis was at the time, if I'm honest, and there was a good reason for that. It wasn't as big in 2008 as it is now. We are now a decade further on. We have burnt the planet a lot more. We are closer to meltdown than we were. And in 2008, we didn't realise it's do the Green New Deal or die. And now I think that's my summary. I think you put it slightly differently on the front of your leaflet, which you've got. Doesn't it say you're fucked or something? No, it's pretty much the same terminology, except I just said it with a double. We are now in much deeper trouble than we realised back in 2008, 9, 10. And at that point, we really did actually see people suddenly saying, we have got to intervene in the economy. And indeed, Alistair Darling did begin to do intervention in the economy. He began to do, for example, getting rid of old clunky cars with high emissions. It was called literally cash for clunkers, and the idea was to get rid of high emission cars and replace them. And various other projects which were supposedly meant to boost the economy. Well, then George Osborne came along, and as you might say, the rest is history. We ended up with Boris Johnson. It was downhill from there. The idea, I'm afraid to say, from 2010 onwards was pretty much forgotten. I'll even say some of the Green New Deal were pretty much forgotten. Colin Hines and I kept writing Green New Deal reports. Every year or so we knocked out another report, we kept the website going, we kept the name going, kept saying, this is absolutely fundamental. We do have a climate crisis. We have got to do something about it. But we came and went through all those things like Copenhagen and so on, and nothing happened. Nobody talked about a coordinated series of measures to actually tackle this crisis in a way which could be managed, where you could set targets. And then we have the arrival of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the States. The Democrats are responsible for the revival of the idea. They did come to the UK, they were looking for ideas, they found the Green New Deal, they were looking for radical policies to put forward for young Democratic candidates who were going to challenge the old orthodoxy of the Democrats, because there isn't a decided Sanders versus Clinton as was, and now it's Sanders versus Biden, if you like, that sort of massive divide within that party. And the radicals were looking for ideas, and they found the Green New Deal. They took it to the States, they took it almost lock, stock and barrel what we've been writing, with nobody reading it for nearly a decade, and suddenly we discovered the thing was exploding a year ago. And we re-imported it from the States to the UK. It was quite an odd thing to find, that your ideas had to go around like the States to arrive back in this country, but that's what happened. And am I grateful to Alexandria and her crew? Yeah, of course I'm grateful, because we're back in talking about what this is about. And now everybody's talking about it. The Greens up here have issued their version today. There's going to be, I will tell you, a bill presented in the UK Parliament quite soon about this. You're worried about something? What am I doing? Tripping over that? Am I? Okay, let's get rid of that then. We have loads of political parties saying they're committed to this idea. And yet, what is this idea? I'm not going to go through the environmental factors in any detail, frankly. I think we now simply have agreed science. I mean, I know that there are those who are also members of the Flat Earth Society who say that, of course, climate change does not exist. We are not responsible for it. And I accept that there is a remote chance that we are living in a world where we are not responsible for climate change, where it might be a natural phenomenon and so on. There's a remote chance I wasn't born on the 21st of March 1958, and therefore my birth certificate is completely fabricated as well. I know that is obviously possible, that that is false. I think it's exceptionally unlikely. I happen to think that it's exceptionally unlikely that we're also living in a world where we are not responsible for at least some of the climate change that we are seeing and the global heating that is going on. And my belief is that the scientists are warning us correctly that if we do not address this issue, we will end up with catastrophe. And I happen to be a relatively late parent in life. I didn't become a dad until I was 43. I'm 17. I've mentioned my son's labels and seen the way I'm doing. So I've got two sons, they're 17 and 18. And frankly, much as I moan about them, they also pretty heavily motivate me. And I would really quite like to see them have a chance of survival. I think I'll make it out, frankly, of this planet without climate change preventing my opportunities too much. Their chance of making it out of this planet without climate change massively impacting them, I would put it as close to zero if we don't take action now. I think my generation, and I can see quite a number of others of my generation here, who, if we don't take action, we can be charged with genocide. Genocide will be a generations to come, and I'm not exaggerating my case. I think we will literally kill them if we don't choose to take action now. And that is what motivates me to do this. So, I accept the science. I'm not going to argue about it. I don't need to go through the details of it. I believe we need to have aggressive targets for net zero carbon, and we need to have aggressive targets for protecting biodiversity and improving the way we use land and changing the way way we create the food that we eat. I'm not suggesting you all become vegetarians. I think I would find that difficult. I'm not a vegetarian. I think have massively increased the amount of vegetarian meals that I cook for children, and they've got used to it, by and large. It's hard if they haven't. There isn't another one unless they cook it. But I think we do have to radically rethink many of the ways that we live. The points that I want to talk about tonight are really about how can this happen? Why is a chartered accountant doing this when he's not an environmentalist? How did I end up as a member of this group? Well, actually, everybody said, how am I going to pay for it? It's a really boring question in some ways. Why is it really boring to ask how we're going to pay for the Green New Deal? Because actually the cost of not doing it is so immense, so beyond imagination, that whatever the cost is, we would do it. Now, I use an example, and I've actually written an essay which Ben, if he's around, has actually got from me. I spent Monday afternoon thinking about what I was going to say here, and I ended up writing 5,700 words, because I have a habit of writing a lot of words rather quickly. And I use the example that in the case of my dog, I have a choice about what the value of his life is. Dear old Hector, the dog, is 10 and a half, and I decided we're going to spend 600 quid on an operation on him at the moment. But if it was 3,000, I'm not quite sure I would have done it. What's the price of my children's life? I don't know. I don't know what the limit is. Why would I? They're my children. There is no price I will put on trying to provide them with a future. So, in some senses, I find the question, what is the price of the New Deal, Green New Deal, really boring? Because I just think it's what we have to pay to survive. But at another level, and purely pragmatically, I know we have to deal with a load of politicians who do not share that mindset. And the thing that I've always been asked to do is literally talk about, can we fund a Green New Deal? Well, let's first of all just talk about some of the things that the Green New Deal would do, and then talk about how we pay for it. And I don't want to spend forever on this. I do want to give you lots of chance to ask questions. I did this gig last night in Edinburgh, and the questions went on for an hour and a half in the meeting, and I got to bed at 1 o'clock after the meeting. I think a few drags have been sampled away, I won't mention that. A Green New Deal is in essence about three things. Tackling climate change, dealing with biodiversity, challenging the inequalities that have been deliberately created in our society by the policies of the last 40 years of neoliberalism and the last decade of austerity in particular. It is not, in that sense, politically neutral. It is unsurprising that the Republicans don't like it. I am unashamedly putting to you an idea that is not hardcore capitalist, but nor is it anti-business. It's very hard to be a chartered accountant who is still a director of a couple of real companies employing real people to say I'm anti-business. I'm not anti-business. I'm anti-corruption of business. Business has been deeply corrupted. Business has a key part to play in the Green New Deal. I'm going to explore that with you in a minute, because I've got ideas on this which are brand new. I want to explain. But what we need to have is a world where we transform the way we do things. So that we transform the way we generate energy. So we have got to invest in renewable energy. Scotland is in the best possible position in Europe on renewable energy. There is no country in Europe which has more renewable energy resources per head of population than Scotland. And you have a massive, soon-to-be exiled from the world community customer next door who has got anything like the scale of renewable resources that you've got, who's going to be queuing up trying to buy them. If you wonder why the Scottish pound, or whatever it will be called, will be worth a lot more than the English pound in the future, renewable energy is the answer. Because they'll be queuing up to buy it. I believe that is the answer. So we have to look at how to literally generate new energy. And just look at Scottish housing. And I've nicked a few ideas from the Greens today. I read that there are 800,000 properties in Scotland where there's some form of fuel poverty. That sounds a very large number to me. But it's entirely plausible. There are very large numbers of properties around the UK. There are this is a really boring fact, there are 30 million properties in the UK as a whole. 28 million of which are houses, 2 million of which are business properties, And we're setting out to create a policy called 30 by 30. That means all 30 million must be thermally efficient by 2030. That's what I believe is necessary. I think Commonweal isn't being quite as ambitious, actually. I think you're allowed a little longer. Shame.
We'll try and catch up.
Okay. There may be a simple, straightforward problem in meeting 2030. There may not be enough people to do the job. But what this means is that every building that can have double glazing will have double glazing. And vast numbers of buildings don't have double glazing. And there is no better payback on energy efficiency than double glazing. The point is immediately, we're not trying to generate more electricity, we're trying to save it. We don't want to actually have more, we may well want less. If buildings don't have cavity wall insulation, and I am well aware that Scotland does not have, or has got a lot of buildings which don't have cavities for your own particular stone-built property reasons, well, if you do have buildings with cavities, they should be insulated, and yet large numbers are. An astonishing number of buildings still do not have loft insulation, and yet the thermal efficiency here on doing that is enormous. So, in one very simple measure, turning every single property in the UK and in Scotland into a thermally efficient unit, you can save about 25% of all the energy used by households, which is already 25% of the entire energy consumption on Ireland, just in literally heating. Now, if you look at that as a process, there is also another great advantage actually having to fit double glazing, insulate walls and apply loft insulation, and that is you can't do it in China. You actually have to do it in that building there and that one over there and those houses up there. In other words, it's done by local people with local jobs and local skills and local training. And this then provides real apprenticeships and real training and real long-term jobs, because this isn't going to happen overnight. So once you've got the skills, you're going to carry on using them. And this then becomes something which actually creates a valuable job, and it should be paid at least a living wage or better, which is probably better than some of the alternatives. We are talking about creating value in communities, every single community. Not just in Edinburgh and Glasgow or in London, the hubs where most value is created already, but in every single village, every single town, Inverness and northwards would still be involved in this process. So I think that's really important. And that's one of the ideas that we put forward. Another very clear idea that needs to happen is, I'm afraid, those odd things out there called cars, we simply aren't going to be able to lug a ton of metal around for each of us. The future is not going to let us do that. The future is not electric cars either. There isn't enough battery power in the world, and there never will be, for us all to have a battery car. So how are we going to re-engineer this? And we don't know the answer yet, bluntly. I have a friend who's actually making plastic cars at the moment. They look a bit like a wheelie bin on wheels. They have a small battery in them, and they have pedals, which is really weird. But the fact is, they can do 25 miles an hour. Now, they're obviously a very open design idea, but the fact is we're going to have to think off the page about how we literally deal with local transport issues in the future. We need to have better zero carbon transport. That has to be better buses, that has to be better trains, that might be trams. I mentioned that in Edinburgh last night, and that went down like a river, as you can imagine. I knew what I was doing. I do know the whole story of the Edinburgh tram system. And so, look, we will need to rethink this. What is called the last mile problem of transport, which is how do you get your shopping from the supermarket to home, which is why you need a car, because you need a boot, is something that we're going to have to rethink. And that's why so many people still say they need a car. And so we have to overcome these issues. And that's going to require investment, and it's going to require political will to do that. So that's another area where clearly we need to make change. And I can keep going. The point is that we need to invest in a whole pile of detailed issues like this, which will create new local job opportunities, amongst other things. We will need to literally fit solar panels to buildings. We need to invest in tidal energy, and Scotland has an enormous potential in tidal energy. Yet I hear of companies trying to actually take over tidal energy companies in the UK and moving them out to Canada at the moment, because we're not investing enough in it, which is crazy. Where Scotland could be the epicentre of that particular industry. and not only make energy, but sell the technology and the equipment and the ideas and the people who are trained around the world, because these things all earn foreign currency. And I'm often asked, how can an independent Scotland survive? Well, this is another way it can do it. So, these things require money. I have not done the figures for Scotland in isolation. I have looked at the figures, broadly speaking, for the UK as a whole, and figures around £50 billion a year for at least a decade. I mean, anybody know how many noughts there are in 50 billion? Okay, there's 10. When I was an accountant, I used to deal in pounds and sometimes thousands, and every now and again in millions. Now they're thinking less than billions. Because that's the sort of the scale of the issue that we're facing. 50 billion a year is what percentage of UK national income? Does anybody know that? 5%? No, less than that. Slightly up. 2.5. 2.5. You're right. UK national income is near enough £2 trillion pounds a year. That's 2 with 12 noughts after it. We're talking about saving 2.5% of our national income to save the planet. Doesn't sound so bad, that, does it? Actually, that doesn't sound like very much money at all. Let me put that in context for you. We spend 54 billion a year in the UK subsidising pension saving. Most of that pension saving is, of course, by the wealthiest 10% in the UK. Because you've got to have a fair amount of money to have left over at the end of the week to be able to save a pension. If you're actually just trying to make ends meet, you don't save a pension. Or you save very little of a pension. 54 billion a year is the subsidy that we give to pension funds every year. It's going to cost 50 billion for the Green New Deal. Which one is more important? I went to a really exciting meeting recently. Honest. It was a meeting between chartered accountants and actuaries. Can't get more exciting than that. And we were actually discussing this very issue. And I have to admit, there are some people from pension funds who say, you can't put this money into the Green New Deal because that will blow pension funds. As I pointed out, yeah, what do you want? Really, really valuable pension funds and no world for pensioners to live on. In fact, no pensioners. Or would you rather have people who are alive? And one actuary who sat next to me said, I wish I could believe I was investing for people who will still be alive. That was what he put it like. He said, it's really depressing doing this job. Because I'm looking at projections for 30, 40, 50 years, because we now have people who at the age of 21 are forced to join pension schemes the moment they start work, because that's compulsory now. If their employer doesn't provide it, they have to be enrolled in a compulsory scheme. And he said, we manage that money. Those people aren't going to retire for 50 years, so I can't guarantee they'll be accounted for. Why am I worried? And I think that awareness by an actuary is really important. So we could, and this is my first simple idea to you, we could force every single pension fund, in exchange for the tax relief they're given, to put 25% of all the money that goes into pensions each year into investing in the Green New Deal. That would provide 20 to 25 billion every year for investment in the Green New Deal. If you want your tax relief, 1/4 of your contributions go to the Green New Deal. The rest can go to all the useless things that are invested in now. By the way, I really do not believe in what most pension funds do, because they buy second-hand shares. That's what they sell on the stock exchange. They don't sell new shares, they sell second-hand ones. They don't create new investment. They buy second-hand buildings. They don't play with new buildings, they just buy and trade in existing buildings. I want to have investment in job creation, and job creation that saves the planet. So I believe they have a duty to contribute on pension, because that's what I call the fundamental pension contribution. So those who contribute towards a pension will leave enough capital to let the next generation use it so they can keep them in old age. That's the real deal. Nobody actually lives on their savings in their retirement. They live on the goodwill of the next generation who actually look after them. So that's the first thing we could do. Another simple thing we could do to raise some money for the Green New Deal. How many people here have got an ISA? I know some of you have, because 10 million people in the UK have. So out of the adults in the UK, at least 1 in 4 has got an ISA. an individual saving account. Tax-free saving accounts you can pay up to $20,000 a year. There are now ISA millionaires in the UK. People have got more than £1 million invested in ISAs, on which the income is paid tax-free. It's an interesting idea, isn't it? Yeah, I'll get rid of that. Sorry. Would I put a cap on the amount you can have in an ISA at, say, £100 perhaps? Yes, I would. Because it's another subsidy to the wealthy, let's be blunt. But if you want to have an ISA, I put a simple restriction on it. You can have an ISA, but the ISA must be invested in a bond or a share issued by an organisation that is promoting the Green New Deal. What could that be? The Scottish National Investment Bank could be a body who issues such a bond which you could then invest in. And the rate of return could be guaranteed by government. 2%. How many people have got 2% earnings on their ISAs in cash? No one. You can't get 2% on an ISA in cash. But the government can afford to pay 2% because it will cost £1 billion a year to pay 2% on the cost of the Green New Deal. Boris Johnson has just allocated £2.1 billion to waste money between now and the 31st of October preparing us for no deal Brexit. Let's just put that £1 billion in context. We can find it. Therefore, we could actually say that all ISA money should be available to fund the Green New Deal. Anybody know how much money goes into ISAs a year? Anybody like guess?
100 million.
100 million? Oh, no. We're talking billions there, not billions. How many billions?
20.
No, go up. 80? You're getting a lot closer. You just slightly overshot. It's £70 billion a year goes into ISAs. 70 billion. Suppose we just put this condition that that money could only be used to be invested in Green New Deal products. So some people would back out of them, but why would they? Because they can get 2% rate of return. They can't get anywhere else. And suddenly, I've already got more money than I need to fund the Green New Deal. I've got 25 billion from pension funds and I've got 70 billion from ISAs. I only need 50. I've just got 95. I've overshot. If I need some more money, all those people who are going to put to work on higher wages than they earn now will pay more income tax. And they'll spend more. So there'll be more VAT collected. Therefore, there will be more tax paid. Now, we might decide not to collect that because we might actually give some subsidies to those who are actually not earning as much. So we might change the system to actually reduce some of the inequalities that are created within the tax system. But the point is, we could find more tax by doing the Green New Deal because more people will be at work in higher pay because we'll be doing something really socially useful in Scotland. What else could we do? If we have a Scottish government with its own central bank and its own currency, and some of those who read my blog will know that I think that's something we should have on day one of independence. If that's the case, then the Scottish government can guarantee that it can always repay its borrowers. Because all money, literally all of it, is just a charade. I haven't even got a Scottish note on me, I've just spent it. I've only got an English note, sorry about that. And I used to tear these up, but now they're made out of plastic, so I don't even tear up tennis anymore. The point is, that's worthless. You can't even write notes on it anymore because they're made out of plastic and you can't write on them. They're absolutely useless to any other purpose than paying money out. And the only reason they have any value for paying money out is that it says on here, and most of you don't bother to read it, but it does say, I promise to pay the bearer on the demand a sum of £10. What happens if you go to the Bank of England and say, can I have my £10? They give you another one of these, which looks exactly the same. It's got a different number, but it's another one of those. There is nothing that backs up your money at all. It is literally a promise to pay. Whose promise to pay? Who issues the promise to pay? Well, actually not the Bank of England, because who owns the Bank of England? It's owned by the state, it's owned by the British government. Ignore all those rules that fly around with Rothschilds still owning it. That's nonsense. It's anti-Semitic load of rubbish. It was nationalised in 1946, it's owned by the government, and so the Bank of England's promise is actually issued by the government. And it's fulfilled because if you want to pay your tax, you can only pay it at the moment in UK pounds. And when there's a Scottish government, the way in which the Scottish currency gets its value is Because the only way you'll be able to pay your Scottish taxes is in Scottish pounds. And if you've got to pay your taxes in Scottish pounds, do you know what you'll use in the shop? Because it's the only thing the shopkeeper will accept. It will be Scottish pounds. Because they won't take an exchange rate risk on it. So overnight, the Scottish pound will be instantly valuable because it's the only thing that can be used to pay taxes. That's how you give a currency its value. Because the promise to pay means the tax has to be paid in it. Oh, by the way, it's really easy to create a new currency. How many people here are old enough to remember Valentine's Day 1971? Yeah! I'm not alone. What happened on Valentine's Day 1971? Decimalisation! How long was it before the threepenny bit disappeared?
20 minutes.
Yeah, about that. That's it. We were told you've got to use it months and months, and we were given about 9 months to get used to decimalisation. Before we couldn't spend our sixpennies and our threepenny bits and our tanners and our half and what else anymore. And in fact, it happened overnight. By the 15th, most people were spending money in what we then call new pennies, 1p's instead of D's. Overnight, everyone got used to it. That was it. Happened. So this complete disruption of society that was going to be caused by decimalisation, which everyone would be talking about as if it was a nightmare, happened like a blink. Which is exactly what happened in the Scottish currency happens too. Because overnight, it'll be what you pay your taxes in, so you'll have to use it. But a government that has its own currency cannot go bust. Because if somebody says, you've got to pay me, it just prints some more of it. Now, it then reclaims it, by the way, through the banking system, so don't worry, it doesn't create inflation control for that. And in fact, in the States, where they have the biggest debt of all, I mean, everyone thinks the States must be really responsible because they have all these Republican presidents who borrow on a scale that we can never imagine. They did actually at one point get worried about the fact that the biggest note that they can issue to repay their debt in is a $500 bill. So the economist Paul Krugman looked at the legislation and realised they're not allowed to print a bill bigger than $500. And compared to the trillions and trillions and trillions that they own, this was impossible to therefore ever imagine they could print enough notes if they were hacked the horse to repay in notes. So he suggested a very simple answer to repaying the US government debt, that they should mint $1 trillion coin. And he said, we've only got a big 9 of them and we can repay the whole debt. But at the time that was it. $9 trillion coins, wiped out, gone. And he wasn't being silly. Because in the UK, you will hear the government say, our national debt has just reached 2 trillion. But it isn't. Because 435 billion of UK national debt is owned by the UK government. How difficult would it be to pay your mortgage if you owned it to yourself? How worried would you be about the interest rate on your borrowing if it was repaid from your right pocket to your left pocket? Because that's what it is. Literally, they actually cancelled the interest rate on that 435 billion because obviously it wasn't worth charging anymore. It doesn't exist. So, in extremis, if the Scottish Government was to encourage people to invest in a Green New Deal through their pension funds, through their ISAs, and to build all those things that are needed, thermally insulated houses, transport systems, tidal energy, the companies that need to be in existence to support those things, then if somebody suddenly said, but we want our money back, the government can always provide it. And simply knowing that the government can provide it is enough to prevent them ever having a run. And remember, runs on banks are incredibly rare. Northern Rock managed it. It was the first time in 160 years and it hasn't happened again. And it hasn't happened again. Why? Because all of you enjoy the benefit, if you've got any savings, of £85,000 in your bank account being guaranteed by the government. Not by the bank. The bank can't guarantee anything. But the government can. So we can fund the Green New Deal. And we can ask governments to do these really exciting, innovative things to make this happen. But what really worries me is that however much that is done by government, and all the publications that I see by everybody all about what governments can do, we also need to get private business to do it as well. This is where I get a little bit radical, because I've been thinking about this one. And I think there's only one way to do this. It's through accountancy. You never knew accountancy was this interesting, I promise you. If we just simply put into place a new accounting rule, which said that every large company has to have a plan to be net zero carbon, I'd like by 2030, but Craig tells me 2045 will do. Whichever year we agree. And it has to publish this plan. And it has to cost this plan. And how much it's going to cost it to transition to being net zero carbon. And it has to put that cost in its accounts because it's got to fund it. Then we would discover whether these companies can afford to go net zero carbon or not. Then we would know which of those companies were actually worth investing in for the long term, which comes back to that question of pensions again. Because if they're not able to transition to be surviving in a net zero carbon economy, we don't want to have pension funds in those companies. Worse, if they can't work out how to raise the money to go net zero carbon, I would suggest they would suffer something which nobody's ever heard of before, which is called carbon insolvency. What happens to a carbon insolvent company? We wind up its affairs in an orderly fashion. We say, you aren't part of our future because you are killing our planet. And as a result, we're going to reallocate your capital to somebody who can use it in a responsible way. Now this is going to, I'm going to use a technical term here, scare the shit out of BP. Because it is. Because they don't know how to do that. BP love to advertise their green business. What proportion of BP's business is green? No, up from 1. 2. Up from 2. Yeah, that's the next obvious number, 3. You got it. It's 3%. BP's business is renewable green energy. 97% isn't. And they've got to work out how we turn 97% of their energy system, including activity which might involve some sure, into something which is sustainable and renewable, and how we're doing on time. We get to questions soon. Okay, we'll get there very soon. They've got to work out how to do that. And I believe this is the next stage of Green New Deal. Because at the moment we're talking about what government does. And I think it's really important because government hasn't even done that yet. But what I told you earlier was that my ideas tend to take 10 years to come into practice. So I'm now thinking, right, we've got government going on all this, and we've got these houses going, and we've got these transport systems going, and we've got literally building new houses to meet the needs of young people, because we obviously have this need for more social housing. And we're beginning to build schools and hospitals and everything which are thermally efficient too. But how do we make business do this? Well, this is the next stage of it. We've got to get business in this process as well. And remarkably, actually, with the very slightest of tweaks to existing accounting rules, which I happen to know quite well, I could enforce this very easily. In other words, we could make them say, can we become carbon efficient? Because much as I'd like to think my efforts at recycling make a big difference to the future of the planet, they don't make as much a difference as Tesco's can, or BP can, or SSE can, or any other company like that. Their efforts are much more significant, so we have to literally put the pressure on them to change. And the reason why we have to put the pressure on them to change, because we won't survive if they don't. It's as blunt as that. So we're facing a crisis. It's real. It's really frightening at some levels, because I think it is. And one of my reactions when I began to realise how frightening it was to think, yikes, let's all party and forget it. And then everyone's got 2 sons, and they will survive that party. They're going to wake up in the morning and their world isn't going to be very good if we party our way out of this. So instead, we've got to change. And we've got to have government change, we've got to have politicians change, and we've got to have companies change. And Scotland can do this, because nobody is in a better position than Scotland to do this because of the renewable energy. And when I hear people say, yeah, but we haven't got the devolved powers to deal with this, my answer to a Scottish politician is, imagine you had. Because that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to have the courage to imagine you can change the world. Because if you're not that courageous, we're not going to change the world. And you've got to demand those powers, and if you can't do it here, you've got to demand it from Westminster. And you've got to yell, you've got to scream, you've got to shout, you've either got to demand independence or change if we don't get independence. But either way, we've got to change to survive. So it doesn't matter what the political scenario is, which party you support, whoever you're involved with, We have to deliver this, and if we don't, we're in deep trouble. But if we do, we could have a really interesting future where we might consume less stuff, literally physical stuff, because we may not have as many physical resources processed to make as many things as we consume now. But I suspect we will have very many more services than we do now, and those services will be about caring for each other in the communities where we live, and that could be a better world than the one we live in now. And that's what motivates me to think that Green New Deal is a right Green New Deal future as well. Anyway, enough of that, let's have some questions.
Thanks very much. Lots to think about there. We've got a microphone that's going to come round to you. So if you'd like to raise your hand if you've got a question, and we can take maybe 2 or 3 at a time. So there's a gentleman just here. Thanks for going first. Someone's always got to.
Just give me a second to get into the middle of the room. I'm trying to get to everyone with the mic. We are recording this, so you can just hold it close to you.
Hi, a couple of nights ago I listened to a YouTube conversation with Alexander Ocasio-Cortez and someone talking about how they get across the ideas to the American voter, because at the end of the day, if politicians of whatever party don't think that the political behaviour of the voter is going to change, then they're not going to do anything. And unless we can change political behaviour of voting, then the politicians are going to change. And see, basically what she said was, we need to create stories and narratives that ordinary people will understand. You've created here tonight, for instance, an example of the economic underpinnings. We've all believed there's a situation, surely, where someone gets on to Newsnight or someone gets on to Newsnight, where Kirsty Wark sits with someone, and BBC producers who will simply just ignore it. How do we turn this into stories that people out there in those houses will listen to, and therefore effectively believe it?
Great, thank you very much. I think there was another gentleman on the same check shirt that had his hand up.
Hi, I was just wondering really about that, your idea that every company has to be carbon neutral and however be consulted. Is there a danger that would maybe penalise, let's say, a company that was doing a social good, but by the nature of its business had a high footprint? I don't know, like sort of meals for the elderly in the countryside or something, compared to another company that was fairly rich and only had a very small intrinsic footprint. How do you make sure that we don't sort of reduce the sort of the public good?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's a gender imbalance in the questions being asked already. I just noticed it. I've got nothing against being mad. I've got used to it. You have to eventually. Your questions are, in a sense, similar. How do we tell the stories about what the future is? Because is it possible to have Meals on Wheels in a rural area without burning carbon? Is one question. And yours is, how do we tell stories about what this world is going to be like so people believe that it can be better than they've got now? Part of that is a technical issue. I mean, we've got to actually talk about how we can have delivery systems which are based upon renewable energy. And some of that will be electric vehicles. I mean, let's not dispute it. We're clearly going to have electric vehicles. If we're not going to burn oil, then we're going to have some battery-based vehicles. There's no question. Buses will be battery-based, for example. And so might some delivery vehicles. We're going to have to do that. What we're unlikely to have are so many cars on the road. And people are going to have to think about how we replace cars with new methods of transport. Because that's going to be the big problem. It's not the delivery vehicle that is the problem. Because actually, a delivery vehicle doing 50 drops one after the other is actually quite efficient. Instead of having 50 individual people going to addresses. So there's a difference between a delivery vehicle, which is going around the route, and each parcel being delivered separately. So we have to understand how to do that. And you might find, and I think this is entirely possible, that there may have to be carbon usage licenses. In other words, some companies will not be net carbon, whilst others will actually have to be literally positive about their use. They don't have to be negative, because some will be users. And will have to transfer. There will not be a perfect system, so there may be carbon licenses. I think the issue about the stories to tell the voters is a very interesting one, because do you know what? Look, by and large, politicians don't tell voters stories. For the last 40 years, we've been told that the market solves every problem. And every political party has told voters the same thing. Doesn't matter whether you were Labour, SNP, Liberal Democrat, Tory, whoever. You actually, I think the Greens probably were a bit of an exception, a bit. But fundamentally, the story has been the same. The market solves the problem. And that was definitely true of Labour until quite recently. So the voters weren't asked, do you want to vote for a market-based solution? That was the only thing they were given. All they could vote for was a different flavour of market-based solution. And in this sense, what we've got to actually, and I'll be honest with you, is actually persuade all politicians that frankly they've got no choice but offer a different flavour of Green New Deal. And to some degree, I think that's already happened. I think the reality of this is seeping into politicians that frankly, if they are going to get young people in particular to vote for them, and yet young people do vote, then they have no choice but offer a Green New Deal. It's just what flavour of Green New Deal they're going to actually vote for. I think in the States there is a harder divide between left and right on this issue than there is here, and I accept that point. I think they have a bigger issue of market fundamentalism than we have. I don't even meet that in the Conservative Party anymore, because we have a Prime Minister, or a Conservative Prime Minister, whose actual phrase about business was fuck business, as I heard recently. You know, what a great relationship he's got with the business community. So the business community don't believe in the Conservatives anymore. And actually, if you look at the CDI and you look at everybody else, they're all saying he's got it wrong. So, and if you look at business, some of them are really taking Green very seriously. I was actually sitting in Queen Street having a coffee at lunchtime. I'm hearing a guy discussing very seriously the future of refuse trucks and how they're all going to be on on renewable energy. The whole thing is that everybody's refuse truck purchasing schemes from now on has to presume that no refuse truck is going to run on diesel ever again. I just heard this conversation in a coffee shop. He was talking to somebody at the other end of the telephone. It was very interesting. And I was listening in very intently. I don't know who he was and I don't know who he was talking to. The conversation was really interesting. The point is, people are getting it in business. And the story is there, and people want to know what's going to happen. What they don't want to know is, at the moment, that they can't go on holiday. The big problem is being told that actually you're going to have a limited number of flights a year. Or maybe, sometime in the future, you may not even be able to have any flights. Because we don't know how to solve that problem. That one is the big narrative problem that we've got in this country, because everybody values their holiday in the sun once a year. Well, actually, I haven't flown for holiday for about 12 years, by choice, because of the Green New Deal. But most people do. I have to say, I'm afraid I failed miserably at business level. I'm not flying for another 10 days. At that level, I'm actually diabolical in terms of my own carbon footprint, and I confess, this is confession time, I do. But we've got to find a way of communicating that issue, and there is a way of communicating that issue. Because actually, we should just simply have a flight allowance. So each person can have a flight a year, and they can have it at a very low tax rate. And then the tax rate goes up as the number of flights goes up on your passport, and your passport is what you have to present to get a flight. So it's not really very difficult to actually allocate a number of flights. And once you've got to 5 flights, that's it. No matter how wealthy you are, you can't go on more flights. Done. That's your allowance. You've got to wait till next year now. Now, over time, we'll either get down, but we cannot stop, for example, people having flights, because the moment we say we're not going to let it fly again, then this is a non-starter. So we've got to find the points of resistance. But generally, I think the political issue is actually persuading the politicians. Because actually the politicians create the mood music of the country by and large. They do not follow the mood music. Most politicians are desperate for ideas. They aren't terribly good at creating ideas. They nick other people's ideas. I know this because Jeremy Corbyn once nicked a whole pile of mine and became leader of the Labour Party. Not tiny down to me. But he did borrow 70% of his economic policies from me. I know, they came off my blog and I didn't even give him permission to use them. So they nick ideas from people. This idea is now in the firmament. I don't believe they're going to go away. So I think the people are simply going to be offered different flavours of the Green New Deal anyway in the future. They're not going to have a chance to say no to it. Bit radical, but that's what I think.
So let's try and address the gender balance a little bit. So a question from the next. There's one just here.
Hi Richard, I just wondered why you spoke about getting money for the Green New Deal from pension funds and from ISAs and not simply from the taxation fund.
Some of that is down to modern monetary theory, and I'm not going to discuss economic theory here tonight, if I can avoid it. I have to think that there is actually money available from capital to fund the Green New Deal. And what we're talking about is capital investment. And what I actually think people want is their money to be put to good use. And I think most people who have money in a pension fund have no idea what it's used for. Well, it's used to buy second-hand shares, it's used to buy second-hand properties, it's used to buy second-hand bonds, and it's used for speculation. And most people are actually pretty shocked when they think about that. Yet Marks and Spencer have not issued shares for decades, and yet every pension fund owns Marks and Spencer shares. So all the money that is used to buy shares in Marks and Spencer is actually paying somebody else. It's not investing in anything new. I'm talking about turning the contributions that people make to pension funds to good social use. I'm not saying we shouldn't make changes to the tax system. I would like lots of changes to the tax system. And I've written a book called The Joy of Tax. You've got to be fairly sad to write a book called The Joy of Tax. I have to explain the title to my students. They're too old to know what I'm referring to, which is quite funny, really. David Cameron said he took The Joy of Tax home and tried it out with Samantha, and it didn't work. None of the positions were any good, he said. God, what is that again? He actually told that he said that to the Conservative Party conference in 2015. My moment of fame, the Prime Minister making jokes at my expense. The joy of tax is the ability of the tax system to change the way in which society works. We can literally use tax to change the way we reflect the priorities of society. Now, I think we live in a grossly unequal society. The people who pay the highest overall rates of tax in the UK are the people on the lowest 10% of incomes. Now, of course, they don't pay income tax, and everybody thinks the tax is income tax, but they do pay VAT, and they do pay the BBC licence fee. Well, not everybody does, but they're meant to. And they do pay very high rates of, actually overall, I'm afraid to say, carbon, cigarette taxes and alcohol taxes and everything else. All of those are effectively flat taxes. So they have very high rates of tax. And the people with the lowest overall rate of tax in the UK are, guess who? The very wealthiest. If we're going into the top 1%, almost certainly we're talking about people with the lowest rates of tax. Why? Because they've got lots of money over at the end of the month. That's how we know they're wealthy. If you have lots of money over at the end of the month, then you're probably wealthy. And actually, what that means is that they can put all their savings into tax-incentivized savings schemes, and they can transfer their assets to companies and then pay tax at only 19%, which is less than the lowest of the basic rates of tax. Now, I think we should use the tax system to address those inequalities and actually create a fair Scottish tax system. I've written a whole paper for Commonweal on that subject, and I'll give it a plug now. Because I've done that, we need to rethink taxes for an independent Scotland completely. You know, the old joke, how do I get to Dumbarton? Well, I wouldn't start from here if I was you. I wouldn't start with the English tax system if I was going to try and create a Scottish tax system. It is an English tax system. So, we've got to rethink the tax system for that purpose. But taxes fundamentally are not required to pay for government spending. That's the insight we've now realised. Because money can be created by government. And people very willingly lend their money to government. We've had a decade of being told that government debt is a terrible thing. And do you know what? If you lend your money to a bank, do you think the bank is in crisis? That's called putting money into a deposit account, by the way. When you put money in a deposit account, you lend it to a bank. Because the bank has borrowed your money. It owes it back to you. When you lend money to the government owes it back to you. It's a deposit account. So a bank with lots of money on deposit is a strong bank. Apparently a government with lots of money on deposit, which is exactly what government borrowing is, apparently is a weak government. No, it's a strong government, because people believe in it. So I would rather exploit this ability of the government to actually be able to use people's money that they want to save and deposit with it, and use the tax system to address the inequalities of society. Which would mean, therefore, that those who are on the lowest income would pay less tax than those who are on the highest level of tax. But I don't believe tax can solve everything all at once, and so I would rather use the right tool for each process. That's why I would rather use capital to fund the investment in the Green New Deal and use the tax system to address income inequalities, which I think are really, really dangerous in society.
Any other questions? So the lady down here, and the gentleman at the front.
So the question of pensions is quite folk here in this country, because so many Scots will die before they ever get a chance to benefit from the pension funds. But the question I wanted to ask you is really about divestment. We talked about pension funds, but what we found in Strathclyde is that the Strathclyde pension fund has £800 million invested in fossil fuels, 300 odd million in fracking companies. And we're told by them that they are legally required to keep these very diverse investments with good returns, and that they would be breaking law on pensions if they were to take a decision on an ethical or other ground other than financial returns to divest this massive amount of money. And I mean, the Strathclyde Pension Fund it's run by Glasgow City Council, but it's actually the pension fund for the entire old Strathclyde region. So it's all the councils in the west of Scotland. And they tell us that they can't divest because that would be illegal, because they wouldn't be getting the best return for the pensioners' money. So have you made any sort of inroads into that argument that we can use, perhaps?
I have a description of the Strathclyde Pension Fund. If that's what they're telling you, they're liars. Because the law was changed about 8 years ago, so that the pension fund can use its judgment with regard to ethical issues, with regard to its investment. It was simply changed. That is the old law. It was true that they had a duty to invest for maximum return, irrespective of what they were investing in. Apparently, investment in prostitution, cannabis trading, drug running, money laundering, tax abuse, and everything else. Some was okay, so long as you made a good return for investors in the past. But of course, it wasn't, and they didn't do those things because they were illegal, but they did make a good rate of return. So they did use an ethical judgment beforehand, let's be clear, because they did avoid certain obviously unacceptable activities. But to now say that you cannot use judgment for that purpose is simply illegal. You can't say that. It's not true. I do actually know something about local authority pension funds, because I'm actually the tax advisor to the Local Authority Pension Fund Forum. There are 90 local authority pension funds in the UK, and 70 are in the Local Authority Pension Fund Forum, and I do actually advise it. So I have some exposure to this, and there is significant difference in local authority pension fund behaviour on this issue. Some are really quite enlightened, and some are really in the dark ages, and obviously Strathclyde is still in the dark ages. There is no excuse for that. It depends largely upon the fund manager that the local authority fund employs. Some will use Philistines who think that their only criteria is short-term gain, irrespective of the source of the money, and others actually write enlightened principles and issue instructions that you should take the environment into account. You should not invest in tobacco, you should not invest in animal testing and other things which many people would now agree are inappropriate. So Strathclyde is just simply wrong. There is no law that says what they're now claiming. All pension funds are now allowed to take quite specifically ethical factors into account in their investment decision making. So I have no way around that. They're just going to tell them they're wrong. It's illegal. And if you want to come back to me and need to be contacted, I will send you the details as to how to challenge them, because I know how to challenge them. And I find that really offensive that they're still making an argument which is just wrong in law. Can't really bring more rugby than that, can I?
Hello, thank you very much. One or two things. I mean, where to begin, I don't know. One of the things I was going to ask the general audience is, are there any Greens here? Anybody in the Green Party, or quite a few? Now, I was wondering if anybody ever consults a Facebook page called the Unofficial Greens. Has anyone heard of that? No? Oh, I'm surprised. And if you look on that, you will see a paper has been posted by someone called JJ something or other. I forgot his last name. And that was posted up a few days ago. And it's a paper by an institute called the Institute of Energy Research. Now, in that, it's worth looking at that, by the way. If you get a chance, go and have a look at your Facebook, and have a look at Unofficial Greens, and you'll find this paper there. And what it basically says is that we're wasting our time with renewable energy. It's a complete fallacy that we can actually transition away from fossil fuels. I'm coming back to that in a second, but there is a problem with battery energy and so on. Fossil fuels have what's called an energy density, which is very high. And it's very difficult to reproduce that kind of energy density. So when you fill up your tank, your petrol tank or your diesel tank, you can get a lot of energy into your tank. Now if you try to reproduce that with a battery, it's extremely difficult. Although there are strides being made, funnily enough, in places like Edinburgh, Heriot-Watt University, there are strides being made in improving the battery, the energy density of batteries and so on. But anyway, the general point is, oh no, I haven't finished, sorry. I think you would all like me to finish. But yeah. Okay, well, I've said what the paper contains, and it's very authoritative. And it says basically that renewable energy, the cost of putting up or creating enough batteries to run the world is going to be impossible, because you would have to do so much mining you would destroy the planet.
Well, can I deal with that? I mean, I've already said it, we cannot rely on battery cars. We can't do it, there are not enough batteries. There isn't enough material to do that. The logic is we use less energy. The whole flaw in that argument is that we're going to use the same amount of energy. We have to reduce our energy consumption. So that is why the focus is upon energy saving. That is why we insulate. So we don't burn as much as now. We stop ourselves burning as much as now. We reduce the amount of stuff, which I literally mean as material goods that we produce, by producing more durable products or buying less of them. And we actually, in the process, by the way, will have to do something about the most pernicious industry there is in the UK, which is the advertising industry. The only industry that is guaranteed to make you unhappy, because that's the only way it can succeed. Every single advert says that you are inadequate unless you buy this product. You're not inadequate. You don't need that product, but they're not to make you believe you are. So we have to change the way we think about things. I mean, I would literally stop actually from all advertising unless it was small ads for jobs and things like that. Yeah, I'll let them carry on. But all those glossy adverts, I'd actually revolt actually to companies who spend money on those. And I wouldn't let them reclaim their VAT. They can't for entertainment and so on now. Why would we let them carry on promoting excessive consumption? Because we can't afford it. So we obviously do need to cut out energy consumption. But even so, suppose that paper is right, and we don't know that paper is right. if that paper is saying we're all going to hell in a handcart anyway, and there's another option with significantly more scientists behind it saying we can probably avoid that option, I'm willing to actually bet on the option that says we can survive. Because I'm an optimist, and I want us to survive. And if those people think, frankly, it's all over, well, fine, you can say it's all over, but I'm not going to take that choice for my children, and I suspect you don't want to for your children, so frankly, I don't want to believe them, because I want to believe there is a future for my children, and I don't believe the way they're going is responsible in any shape or form. And that's why I don't think it's green to say so. And I can assure you, I know one Green quite well. The Green I know best is Caroline Lucas. I've been meeting with Caroline for a long time, since she was an MEP, and I'm not sure how many times I've met and spoken to Caroline over the last decade or so, but I've thought it quite a lot. And the Green New Deal group at the moment is actually paying for a member of staff in her office to work on this issue, and she's a member of the Green New Deal group. So we really have known each other for a long time. Our logic is we have to work on the assumption we can solve this problem. I'm not saying that there isn't an alternative. At the beginning, I recognise that we may be wrong, there is no alternative. But the accepted general science is that we can address this issue, and I'm accepting that. And I hear the alternative, but frankly, I'm going to dismiss it.
Can I just add something?
Sorry, I just don't accept this a relevant question.
So time for just two more quick questions that we'll take together. So
okay, first hand here, and then second you say.
So I'll preface this by saying I'm not an accountant. So I was really quite fascinated by that idea of putting environmental externalities onto businesses' balance sheets. I wonder, is there an issue there where what you're doing in the direction of creating tax relief for the worst polluters? And are you going to have to look at some sort of balancing carbon tax to avoid that?
And it's the lady.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Quick question on SNIB, the Scottish National Investment Bank that you mentioned. We've got no time to waste. We can't actually wait for independence in many ways. We want the renewables to take off. We know we have the power. Can we start investing it as individuals? When will that be possible for us to actually invest in our own renewable industry?
Thank you. Both highly relevant questions. Do we create the risk of tax relief? Yeah, of course we create the risk of tax relief. However, they would only get the tax relief when they spend the money. They wouldn't get it just because we put the figure onto their balance sheet. They'd actually have to spend it. Do I have a problem with them getting tax relief on actually spending to save the planet? Frankly, no. I think that's a pretty socially useful thing to do. And actually, in that case, I think there's an alignment between the tax relief and the social benefit from it. And so, yeah, we will have some horrible polluting companies who are going to have to transform into big, better companies. Is that something we as society want to do? Yeah. Should we deny them tax relief for doing something we want them to do? I don't think so. I think that's consistent with good taxation principles. What I don't like is when there's a misalignment between social principles and tax relief. For example, providing substantial tax subsidies to the very wealthy by giving charitable exemption to private schools, completely absurdly, or subsidies to grounds of park malls and God knows what else. Those I have real problems with. So I actually accept that this is going to have a tax cost. It will be one we can afford. Because the outcome will be we will have a better green economy where there will be more people at work and more real wealth. That is created by you, by the way, not by those people who think they're wealth creators who claim that they are worth $4 million a year each as being CEOs of these companies. Wealth is generated by real people doing real jobs in real communities for each other. Because more people will be doing that, we will be able to afford to subsidise this transition, which we need to happen. Can we actually have the Scottish Investment Bank now issuing the savings products which you could invest in? I actually struggle to think why that is not possible. I suspect we're running up against a problem here which seems to be very real in Scotland. And that is that it seems that Scottish civil servants, or at least some of the most senior of them perhaps, are very good at telling Scottish ministers what they can't do. If you go to somewhere like Jersey, Guernsey and the Isle of Man, which are places which I happen to know quite well because they're tax havens and they don't like me very much, if I'm completely honest, In fact, I know that I'm an enemy of the state in Jersey because I've had two ritual foot stompings that mention my name in the States of Jersey Parliament, and that's how they indicate an enemy of the state. I sort of quite like being a chartered accountant and an enemy of the state. But the point is, if actually we had government ministers who were willing to say, how can we create a savings product for private individuals in Scotland who want to invest through the medium of our state-owned bank in the future of the green economy of Scotland, why wouldn't they want to put that idea forward? Could I, if I was told to go and come up with a structure which would get around the rules to let that happen, probably find a way around the rules? I suspect so. Why? Because I'm a chartered accountant, I'm trading and cheating. You weren't meant to laugh! But could we find a way to achieve that goal? I'm sure we could if the willingness was present. I think that sort of willingness to now take a risk for the future of Scotland has to be present amongst our politicians. And that's what we want to see from them. Because, yeah, there is a demand for this. You know, I first wrote that idea in 2004, and it was published in the Observer newspaper. And they put out this thing about local authorities being able to issue bonds to people to invest in local infrastructure. And they were flooded with people who asked, how do we subscribe? I said, no, it was an idea. But people wanted to do it. They wanted to subscribe to the local hospital bond, the local education bond, the local energy bond, the local transport bond. Because they suddenly thought, God, my savings are going to do something for my community. And they love that idea. But why wouldn't you? Not only are you getting okay, probably quite small, but nobody makes very much money on their savings anyway now, you'll get a rate of return, and you'll be seeing the benefit in your society. Isn't that pretty money to use? That's exactly what I believe we need to do. You're exactly on the right wavelength. I wish we could actually have a Scottish Investment Bank doing that right now.
Thank you very much, Richard. So, yeah, thank you again. Thank you, Richard, for it's good to end on the future of Scotland, because on that note, we're going to invite Jonathan Shapley up just to speak for a few minutes about what the Common Real is doing on the Green New Deal.
Can people hear without the mic?
You can use the mic.
For the recording code. Yeah, I don't know if people know what this room is used for on a daily basis, but before this meeting tonight there was a community dinner put on. It's put on by people involved in the Kenning Park complex, people involved in the community around here, and it's a free meal. And the people that came tonight were from every religion, they were from every background, and they ate together. And I don't eat lunch every time the community lunch is put on here. Sometimes I go to the Globe Cafe, which is an institution in these parts and just round the corner. And the other day I was in there, and there's a little post-it note that says, from the end of August, the price of rolls and sausage is to go up by 20 pence. And I looked at that post-it note and thought, imagine a situation where you have to alert your customers of a price increase of 20 pence. That you have to give forewarning to people that 20 pence is going to be added on to a roll and sausage. And the reason I start with that is because those two examples tell us something important about what we've got to do. The answers are not coming from on high. The answers to poverty, to climate change, to inequality, to democracy, all of it's going to come from us. All of it's going to come from below. Now when we look at what's happening today in the UK, and you look at what's happening to the question of democracy, to how wealth is being extracted from the poorest and given to the richest, and you say to yourself that we live in a system where that is not a freak of nature, it's by design. That's how it functions. We've talked a lot about the proroguing of Parliament in recent days. And I have to say that these protests that we're seeing are just the start, I hope, of a much wider movement against the Tories. But let's also be clear that the proroguing of Parliament is perfectly constitutional. It is what the state is there to do. At times of crisis, they look after their own. What we've got to do is to look after our own. And by that, I don't mean white people, I don't mean any particular section of society. I mean all of us ordinary folks who want to see a better world and a better Scotland. Now the campaign that we are launching, that we are giving leaflets out for today, is about a Green New Deal. Now I wasn't raised in the environmental movement, and it's now an issue which has been put at the centre of politics and of economics and of the discussion across the world. That how are we going to meet this great challenge? A challenge that might see our own extinction. And I have to say that when I think about a Green New Deal, I'm thinking about that, but I'm also thinking about how we're going to house everyone through a Green New Deal. About how we're going to give decent, long-term, dignified work to unemployed folk who've got talent. How we're going to make sure that everyone's got enough food on their table, that no one's worried about an extra 20 pence being added on to our own sausage. Now we've got the opportunity to do that, but it's going to take your involvement. We've got to build a movement in Scotland now that does two things. That on the one hand says, we are determined to build the kind of society that allows all of us to live with dignity and respect, and at the same time we recognise that the best way, that increasingly the only way that we are going to achieve that is via independence for Scotland. And the Green New Deal that Commonwealth's working on just now brings together those two questions. It says that we can build an independent Scotland that is a people's Scotland, that looks after everyone, that can be a home for all of us, and that can protect the planet as well. Scotland could lead the way. We could lead the way on the climate question, as we could on the economic and the social and the political crisis as well, but it's not going to come from any of our leaders, it's not going to come from any one particular party, it's going to come from a mass movement of ordinary people. And I just want to end by saying this. You look at the great demonstrations that we've seen over recent months, where tens of thousands of people from Aberdeen to Ayr, Edinburgh and Glasgow and everywhere in between have come together to march to say very simply that we are demanding our independence, that we are demanding the right to self-determination, that the people of Scotland should decide. Regardless of your view on the European Union, regardless of your view on a whole range of matters, it should be down to the people of Scotland to decide our own future. And it certainly should not be allowed that we are in a situation where Boris Johnson lords over us and we don't have a say. Now the only way that we are going to bring about the kind of movement necessary is if we are able to galvanise that spirit. The marchers demanding independence, the environmental activists who are in the streets, who are saying that we are going to rebel against the potential of our own extinction, the trade union members who take strike action, who look after workers day in, day out against bad working practices, the anti-war activists who stood against the war in Iraq and who will stand against any coming war in Iran. It will be the community activists, the kind of people that put on today's community lunch and this evening's community dinner. It will be the people who struggle to pay that extra 20 pence. It will be all of us together that will be able to shape the kind of future that we want to see. So that's the campaign that we're going to run. And it's going to be a campaign that we're going to need your help. That means, on one hand, sharing our material around social media. It means telling your friends and your networks. It means coming to meetings like this. Making sure that from this meeting you sign up to Commonweal. That if you can, you donate so that we can expand our operation. and above all else, that you become an activist for the Green New Deal in Scotland, that you become an activist for independence in Scotland. You have an organisation with a fantastic team, you have an organisation that runs on a shoestring but which delivers despite those impediments. And if we can build that, then we can change Scotland. And I'll just end very lastly on this. That this campaign is going to be unequivocally a positive campaign. We are going to say, in amongst the doom and gloom that grips modern politics, that the ordinary people of Scotland can change things for the better. We are going to say that you are not powerless. We are going to say that we've got a plan. And yes, we're going to say that we are not fucked. We are going to bring this message to the people of Scotland. And I believe, and I think many of us here believe, that it's a message whose time has come. We see a great crisis happening right now in the UK. Let's turn that crisis into our opportunity.
And so on that kind of powerful note, I'll say thanks again for coming out tonight. It's really important that you do come and it's good to be part of this conversation. Thanks once again to Richard for joining us. And I think people are going for a drink in the old Toll Bar afterwards. Unfortunately, Richard can't join us tonight.
I can.
Oh, you can now, you can.
Okay.
So yes, when we got a drink afterwards, anyone wants to join us once we've packed everything down again. So thanks again.
IndependenceLive.net have done thousands of live streams since 2013, documenting a peaceful civic movement for Scottish independence. And now, IndieLive.radio, a new voice for a new Scotland since 2019. You can join our grassroots teams, follow us on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, and check out our websites for contact details.
Now is the time. It's our time.
IndependenceLive.net. Don't hate the media. Become the media.